are back to TLT Talks. We have a part two. I think this might be the first part two in the show's history. We'll be joined by Gregg Sugerman in just a second. He is more than a coach. He's an architect of mindset. He redesigns agent workflows to include tons of consistency. Actually, if there was one word to describe what he is best known for, it's probably just that. It's probably consistency. And so we're going to have him on here in just a minute. Here we go. 2, 1. Nope, not just yet. He's coming. He's coming. Last month we had talked about all the different ways that we can achieve. Here we go. Mr. Gregg Sugerman. How goes it, sir?
It's going great. How are you? You were saying some nice things about me, and I interrupted you. So please continue. Please, just no, don't. It's too much. Please stop. Please
You
stop.
remember the tournament? Stop
Uh-huh.
it. Stop it. Well, why don't you take a minute, reintroduce yourself to our folks, and then we can continue. I really think this is our very first ever part two. In all the years I've been doing this, this might be our first ever part two, sir.
I mean, part one was great, and I think we both realized maybe about 20 minutes in, like, yeah, this isn't getting finished. So if any of you out there have been on a call like this with Eugene and I, you will find that we have important stuff that we've kind of planned. We know what we want to talk about, and we start talking about it, and then we just go off into 27 different directions because we love this stuff. We eat and sleep and breathe this stuff, and we love sharing it. So I'm super happy to be here. I'm Gregg Sugerman. I'm a Compass certified coach. That's really all you need to know. I help agents get the most out of themselves. I help agents become more consistent with the things in their business that actually bring revenue into their business.
So good. Yeah, and
Because why not?
we're actually going through an audit on the Litvak team. So starting with the leadership team, and then as you know, we have our 2-day mid-year goal setting seminar coming up, and that's a good time to take a step back, recalibrate, see what we're doing. And we are so good on this team about efficiency and process and developing all these things. And we're at a pivotal point where we are doing an audit of the initiatives and the projects of the leadership team, and just asking ourselves, we're all busy, everybody's busy, everyone's hair on fire, and are we as productive as we are busy? And on the other side of that audit, maybe the answer is yes. More likely the answer is yes, and there's room for improvement. But consistency is at the heart of all of that. So let's jump right in. If you could take a few minutes to recap for whoever. I know, I'm not yet Kim Kardashian, so just because we did a show doesn't mean everybody watched it. So if you could spend a few minutes just recap what we went over. The last time, maybe reintroduce this 7 principles thing. Just touch on the couple principles we touched on the last show, and then we can just jump right in and finish the principles today. That'd be good.
I don't know if I can. I'm having trouble. Once you started talking about you comparing to Kim Kardashian, I got thrown for a loop.
We
But I'm gonna
resemble
try
each
to.
other. No, we look just the
I'm
same.
gonna,
Why
yeah, I'm gonna try to kind of dial this back. All right. Okay. So I believe that I have mapped out 7 principles of consistency. I think a lot of people. No, let me rephrase that. Most agents I speak to, if you ask them what they want help with the most, they will tell you they want to be more consistent with follow up, with lead gen, with prospect, whatever it is. They want to be more consistent in different areas of their business, in different areas of their life. And I think people think consistency is something that just happens. Oh, look at this agent or this entrepreneur. They're so consistent in their business, in their gym. And so I've mapped out these principles. I believe it's super important, and I love sharing this stuff. The first one is that consistency requires design. Again, people think that someone consistent in any area of their life or business, they're just wired that way, and that's just not the truth. Consistency can be manufactured, it can be engineered, and if you look at consistent people, the chances are they have engineered their environments, whether they know it or not, to be more consistent. And so we discussed that. We discussed a really cool acronym, which coincidentally spells out design. Okay, D, digital space, E, execution space. So any place that you're going to work, whether that's your computer, your workstation, your phone, your actual physical desk, your home office, anywhere you work, is that space cluttered? Is it a mess, or is it streamlined and distraction free? So you have made being consistent in whatever it is you want to be consistent at easier for yourself. So that's the D, the E. The S is social influence. Are you surrounded by people that make you being consistent easier, or are you around people that make that more difficult? People that always put unnecessary time demands on you. They're pulling you in different directions. So that's important too. The I is interruptions eliminated. And maybe eliminated is too strong a word because that's never going to happen, but are you doing your best to control those interruptions, right? If you're putting yourself in an environment where you're just going to be distracted, where there's going to be constant interruptions, you are setting yourself up to fail. G, very important, guarding your time. Okay. Are you really jealously protecting, defending your time? When you set a time block and you say, okay, I'm going to, for 90 minutes, I'm going to reorganize my CRM. I'm going to prospect, whatever it is. Do you honor that time block? Do you guard that time block? That's important because it's very easy to block out time. Actually doing the thing, a different story. And then N, a network of accountability. And accountability is a big part of why coaching works. I think we all know that. But notice that I use the word network. I have found that the most successful agents that I've worked with, entrepreneurs that I've been around, entrepreneurs that I've studied, they don't just have one accountability point in place. They set up networks of accountability. There's a coach or multiple coaches. There's family members. There's colleagues. They have all of these people holding them accountable because what they're doing is they are making it very difficult for them to fail. So that was a design acronym. That's the first principle. Number two, we talked about consistency is not about the prize. It is about the process. So you set a goal, you map out how to get there, then you forget about the goal. You fall in love with the process. You obsess over the process. How can I make this better, more efficient, more fun, whatever it is? You fall in love with the process because you know if you follow that process, you're going to hit that goal. It's just an inevitability. And then number three was trust the process. If you say, commit, I'm going to prospect diligently for 18 months, for 2 years, have faith, you know it's going to work. And what we did is we talked about that bamboo tree metaphor or analogy. I always confuse those words. That a bamboo tree, you plant Chinese bamboo and nothing happens for 5 years. But if you water it every day, it is establishing a root system under the ground. And all of a sudden, when that thing sprouts, I think it pops up like 90 feet in a matter of weeks. So under the ground, the roots are establishing themselves. They're preparing for you to be consistent, if you use that metaphor. So that's where we were. That was number 1 through 3. We've got 4 more to go.
Love it. So design something. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Enjoy the path and trust the damn process. You built the damn thing. Trust it. Trust it. Build something, enjoy the path, and trust the path, right? And then, so where do we go next? So we got 1 through 3. We've designed something. We fall in love with the process. We fall in love with the execution. We're trusting the path. We see the compelling future. Mr. Sugarman, what do we do next?
Number 4 is my personal favorite. Okay, so ready for this? Accept the fact that consistency, it's boring. It's really, really boring. And that's a big reason why a lot of people don't get there, right? So the literal definition of consistency, I'm going to read this here, acting or done in the same way over time. So we're talking about doing the same thing over and over and over again, over long periods of time. How exciting does that sound?
So, we both know a gentleman by the name of Keith Cunningham. And it took me several times to hear this. It took me well, I heard it every time. It took me several times to listen and let it sink in. And he said, profit is boring. It's doing the same thing over and over again and getting really good at it, which in business terms means getting more and more efficient at it. But it's literally doing the same thing over, because every single time you try to grow, there's a ramp up, there's variety, there's variables. That's going to hurt margins. That's going to hurt profit in the short term. So profits just do the same thing over and over again. Actually, if you think about it really, where most entrepreneurs get in trouble is this shiny penny syndrome. Is that, ooh, I should do this or I should do that. And then you distract from the boring and all of a sudden profits are impacted. So yeah, that's so accurate.
Yeah,
So
shiny
accurate.
penny, shiny object. I've had people, I'll work with people, clients, or people that just have a conversation with, and they say, well, do you think if I send postcards into this farm, it's going to work? Well, sure, yeah, but not if you do it once.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
of these things, all of these strategies, if you want to
Mhm.
door knock, if you want to send postcards, if you want to make phone calls, if you want to call expireds, if you want to do whatever it is, all of that stuff works. Also, none of that stuff works if you're just going to kind of mess around with it here and there and then just move on to
Mhm.
the next thing. Consistency is really, really boring. So if you are going to say, I'm going to make 5 or 10 calls every single day to past clients, that gets really tired. If you're going to spend even a half hour on your CRM just organizing things, making sure your tags and all that kind of stuff is in place, boring as hell. Setting up time blocks, right? I'm going to work, if you're a Compass agent, I'm going to work on my likely to sells 30 minutes, 3 times a week. Cool. It's going to get really, really boring. And so I think boring gets a really, really bad rap. Okay. If you're doing something, if you embrace boring, fall in love with boring, if it starts to feel boring, guess what?
It's good.
That means you're on the right
Yeah,
track.
that's it.
You're on the right track.
Well, and also we're obsessed with immediate gratification now. It's like, I want to go to the gym, I want to bench press for 3 sets, and I want to have pecs. It's like the same. I want to go, I want to pick up the phone, I want to make 5 phone calls, get $1 million listing.
yeah,
We're obsessed, with the new society, especially because of all the obvious things, the social media, the whatever. Everyone's just obsessed with immediate gratification. And if I made 5 calls a day for 5 straight days and nothing's happened, oh my God, it's not working.
yeah.
Well, I got to do something different. It's not working.
And here's the thing, if you're listening to this, and I guess it doesn't even matter if you're a real estate agent, but let's just stay in that box for a second.
Sure.
If you're a real estate agent, you are literally in the exact opposite of the immediate gratification
Yeah.
business. There is no immediate gratification.
Right.
And that's why I think a lot of agents will pick up their phone and they'll start, going through their emails and they feel like, oh, well, I'm busy. I'm busy, right? I'm scrolling through my phone. I'm looking at my emails. But are you
That's
productive?
right.
No, you're not. So I always say, immediate gratification, it's a very complex mathematical formula. So if you're taking notes, this is a writer downer. Immediate gratification, small money. Delayed gratification,
Mm,
big money.
mm,
It's pretty simple. So
yeah.
delay that gratification. Know that consistency is boring. Do you know what is not boring?
Tell us.
Commissions wired into your bank account.
Yes.
Not boring.
Not
That's
boring at all.
exciting. But you got to do all the boring shit to get to
That's
that
it.
point.
That's
So fall
it.
in love with boring. Eugene, I know you know this video as well as I have. There's a video on YouTube. A guy's name is Alan Stein talking about Kobe Bryant. There's
Mhm.
120,000 views. I think 50,000 of them are mine. 50,000 of them are Eugene. And
For
I don't know
sure.
who the other 20,000 are. But it's all about, at the end of the day, Kobe says he was the best player in the world because he never got bored with the basics. And if you're an entrepreneur, you know what those basics are for you. So fall in love with boring. Then we have number 5, consistency compounds over time. Again, the immediate gratification piece, right? Forget immediate gratification. You're in the opposite of that business. And I think, like, as we're talking about, most people quit. And now it doesn't have to be, this is, don't care if you're an entrepreneur, real estate agent, whatever it is you're doing. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to do this or that or the other, most people quit before what it is that they're doing has a chance to pay off because they have this thing in their head like, oh, it should take this long.
Mhm.
It's going to take as long as it
Right.
takes. That's what that is. So people quit before it has time to pay off. They do something, they dabble with it, and they go, well, that didn't work. So now I'm just going to move on to this
Yeah.
next thing. So I have found that when you stay consistent with anything, and Eugene, you can attest to this, it's not, it doesn't follow like a normal mathematical equation like 1 + 1 = 2. Over time, you start
Yeah.
finding, oh, 2 + 2 =
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
5 + 5 = 20. Like it just starts to compound, but you have to get through that initial period of doing the
Yeah.
boring stuff, the
Yeah.
repetitive
It's
stuff.
actually, if you look at it if you looked at it on a graph, it would look something like this, and then it just pops. And actually, for anyone that's interested, some of you may know this, some of you may not. There's this thing: would you take $1 million right now, or a penny double the day for 30 days? And if you look at it, it's like day 7, you're at, I think, 50 grand or 100 grand something. By day 20, you're at like also some really smaller number. And then by day 30, you're at like 5 million. And you just see the compounding effect. You just see the compounding effect. Then there's another really good meme. It shows like I'm sure you've seen this, Greg.
Yeah.
It shows 2 tunnels, and one guy's backing away because he's done digging, and there was like nothing left. Come a couple more strokes, and he would have broken through to the treasure. And the other guy's just trying to. So all for the purpose of, one of the things we practice on our team is this theory of CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. And it's so just be consistent. In order to keep it from being boring, just make micro improvements. So when you call, tweak the script, tweak who you call, tweak how you call, tweak what time you call. Just don't miss the activity, but
Yeah.
tweak it to navigate the boringness, and then just know exactly this, that those 5 calls today times, a month is X amount of calls, and all of a sudden nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. Bam, I want to sell, I want to buy, I have a new development, and all of a sudden, what's interesting, what happens, all of a sudden you're really busy, and you stop doing the thing that got you to the busy. And this is the life of a real estate agent,
And that's why
the
it's
roller
not, it's
coaster.
not, people say like, oh, well, that's just a business. Yeah, well, yes and no.
Yeah, is it?
It doesn't
Is
help
it?
that you start doing things and stop doing things and start doing things and stop doing
Exactly.
things. And then you wonder why your income is up and down and up and down.
That's right.
When we had part one of this, I was talking about an agent that I work with, a Compass agent in San Diego,
Mhm.
who door knocked with her door knocking partner for a
Right.
year and a half, got
Right.
nothing out of it. There's a part two to this story because I was on a call with her yesterday. So
Nice.
she sold a $3.5 million listing as a result of doing the same thing for 18 months with no results until then.
Mhm.
They sent out
Just sold.
a just sold postcard, right, with a QR code to that neighborhood. They got a ton of scans. Guess what? They just got another $3 million listing out of that. 18
Nice.
months of nothing, and
Nice.
now all of a sudden 3.5 million, 3 million. So that's a perfect
And
example
you
of what
know
you're
what
talking about.
someone's gonna say? Someone's gonna say, "Oh wow, they sent one postcard and they got lucky."
Uh-huh. You're
And they
so
get
lucky.
so lucky. Isn't it funny how luck just happens to always be around people that work hard?
Yeah.
Is that ironic?
Yeah,
Is that
you're
ironic?
so lucky. Meanwhile, she's out there with her door knocking partner. It's 95 degrees and they're door knocking.
That's
It's
right.
raining and they're door knocking. They're doing all that stuff while no one's
That's
watching, getting
it.
nothing for it.
That's
So
it.
that's last time we talked about the Chinese bamboo. Do you know how the Grand Canyon was created?
No, let's hear
Water. And
it.
not like a
Mm.
cataclysmic
Over
flood or
time.
slow,
Over time.
consistent water over
Mm.
millions of years created something extraordinary. So it's the
Yeah.
same thing when it comes to your
Lovely.
business.
Lovely. All right. What's number 6? You got me pumped. What we got? What's
Six,
next?
you're going to love this one. Actions over feelings. And I am not
Mm.
saying bury your feelings or don't pay
Wait a
attention to your
minute, but
feelings. I'm
Greg,
not
I
saying
don't
that.
feel like doing it. I don't feel like it,
Oh,
bro. I don't feel
welcome
like
to my
doing it.
world. Yeah, yeah. So, people listening now, I love all of you. You might not want to hear this, but consistency requires, no, better word, consistency demands that you do things when you do not
Mm.
feel like it. So I found that, and let me know if you found the same thing, Eugene. I know the answer already. The most successful people out there in anything, any field, right? They feel the same things as everybody else. They get sick, they get heartbroken, they get hungover, they get distracted, all of these things, but they find ways to move forward despite having those feelings. So when you look at someone and say, "Oh, they're lucky, they don't feel like I do," but no, they do.
Mm-hmm.
But they just don't let that
That's it.
control the actions that they take. And a simple thing, a powerful thing rather, to accept is that you're, whatever it is that we're talking about, you are going to not feel like it way more than you are going to
Oh yeah.
feel like it. So if you're waiting around waiting for inspiration and to feel great and for all these things, you're going to be waiting for a really long time. So you have to learn and accept the fact that you're going to not feel like doing a thing, but you got to do it anyhow.
Actually, and it's really interesting. There's momentum, right? So what ends up happening, this is actually kudos to Tony Robbins. He's got this phrase, I don't negotiate with my mind or with the mind. When I say we go, we go. And so what's going to happen is we are all creatures of habit, whether it be working out, whether it be making those phone calls, whether it be, of any business, the language of business is accounting. Accounting is not sexy. P&Ls and cash flow statements and balance
Mhm.
sheets and projections and bookkeeping, none of that stuff is sexy. None of that is income producing. And it's, if you're not versed at that, you can go broke really, really fast, personal
Mhm.
experience included. So, so the ironic thing is, so let's say it's time to make calls as an example. And let's say in case A, the person allows themselves to not do the calls for whatever justifiable reason. Well, but I've got to do this thing, or I've got to do that thing, or I've got to do this showing. Whatever the reason is, the next time it's time to do calls, it's that much harder to
Mhm.
do the damn calls. And in case B, let's say the person has, we're just using calls as an example. Let's say in case B, the person has to do calls and all the same things come up because everyone is busy bee now. And they're like, no, I'm doing calls, period. The second time, there's still some. By the fourth, fifth, 10th time, there's no more civil war. There's just, it's time for call.
Yeah.
It's just what you, actually, you know what? You're a great example of that in your morning gym. I bet you don't feel like going to the gym every morning at 4:30 in the morning, whatever time it is.
Never.
It's just this is what doesn't matter what I feel. This is just what we do. I don't know what this really said. I don't always feel like getting dressed. I'm never gonna leave my house naked.
That's a
Sometimes I
great
don't
point.
feel like it. I'm tired, I'm groggy, I don't feel like suiting up, but I'm not just gonna leave. So the point in case being, if whatever the thing is, if discipline or your word or however we class, on TLT, our number one value is do what you say. Do what you said you were going to do. And so if you run your life, if you design this plan, and when it's time for whatever it's time for, all the noise is going to come up. But no, this is 80%, not all the time, but 80% or better. Whatever it's time to do, you don't negotiate with yourself and you just do it. All of a sudden, by again, attempt 5, week 5, whatever it is, all that civil war chatter kind of goes away and there's less feelings. There's just execution now. So
Yeah.
ironically, if you just push through the I don't feel like it a couple of times, the I don't feel like it does subside a bit. It's
It
always there. It
doesn't
just
go.
gets
You
less
always fight it.
powerful. It just loses smoke.
It gets easier to fight. And so
Yeah.
for everybody
Yeah.
listening right now live, and if you're watching the replay, I would ask you this. Who has that voice in their head that Eugene's talking about? Like, raise your hand. Like, everyone has it, right? My world changed when I realized this, and it took many, many decades. Where does it say that you have to listen to that voice? Who
Mm-hmm.
says you have to listen to it? That voice, we think that that voice is who we are. No, it's not. That voice is it's your brain doing weird things because part of your brain wants to keep you safe and it wants to
Mm-hmm.
keep you exactly where you are because
Yep.
if it keeps you there, you're safe and you're alive. So that voice that you have, it's not you, and you actually don't have to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Right.
Don't have to.
Actually, I heard to that point, I heard somebody say something really funny. If the voice is talking, how can it be you? If you're listening and someone else is talking, how could that be you?
Oh, that's
It's kind of
that's
good,
meta.
right? It
I
gets
gotta
to free. That's
go.
Matrix, right? Now we're going into metaphysics or whatnot.
First,
All right, well we got 5 minutes. Point 7. Finish a
first there
small,
was
Greg.
the
What do we
Kim
got?
Kardashian thing, and now this. I gotta cancel the
Part three
rest of my
coming up.
day. I
Part
gotta.
three coming up. Kim Kardashian and metaphysics.
No, we can do this because number 7, and this is kind of flowing perfectly in this discussion. So willpower is cool, discipline is cool, motivation is very cool. The deal with them is that you cannot rely on them full time.
Mhm,
If that's part of your strategy, it's a faulty strategy. It's probably not going to work. And
mhm,
so habits are what gets you over that hump. When you have a habit in place, and that's kind of what we were just talking about, if you do some things over and over and over again, that voice becomes lower and lower, and you just kind of, it's
mhm.
easier to ignore it. When you have a habit in place, you don't have to rely on your willpower, your
Right.
motivation, your discipline. So a habit means you just execute. You're a robot. The thing that I always say, I think everyone always says it. I didn't write this. Like, how many times do you say, I didn't brush my teeth today because I didn't feel like it, or I got distracted, or I da, da,
Mhm.
da, da, da. Never, because it's a habit. You just wake up in the morning and you execute. You're probably holding the toothpaste tube and the toothbrush and everything standing the same way. You're probably doing all of that the
Yeah,
exact
like
same way
on
every single
automatic,
day.
on
You
autopilot. Yeah.
you have worn grooves in your brain. It is automatic. You don't think about it, right? So the problem with habits is that most people are awful putting a new habit in place. So again, if you're listening live, if you're watching the replay, have you ever tried to put a new habit in place intentionally and failed? Right. So yeah. And again, if you do not have your hand up right now, I love you, I mean it, but you're absolutely lying to all of us because we've all done it. The problem with habits is that people try to do too much too fast, and that doesn't work. It doesn't work because your brain won't allow that to work, because to a part of your brain, and we don't have time to get into like the brain science, maybe, hey, we could have part 3, brain science. To a part of your brain, a very powerful part of your brain, its only interest in, like I said, is in keeping you safe and in keeping you alive. And so when you're trying to do something new, that part of your brain literally looks at it as, well, we don't do this. We don't make 10 cold calls a day.
Mhm.
This is not what we do. And because it's not something we do, it's unfamiliar. If it's unfamiliar, it's risky. If it's risky, it's unsafe. If it's unsafe, to a part of your brain, it thinks it could kill you,
Yeah.
literally. And I know how crazy that sounds,
Yeah.
but that's what it is. And so people try to do too much too fast and they crash and
For
burn.
sure.
There's something I've done for a long time. I kind of stumbled into it. I talk about it forever. It's called STARS, and that is slow, tiny and really simple. So if you're having difficulty putting a habit in place, I want you to break it down and make it so small, so simple that it is impossible to fail. So if you were going to say, I want to make 10 phone calls every single day, okay, cool, and you're not doing it, and you're having trouble putting that habit in place, I would literally suggest taking 45 seconds a day. Look at your CRM, pick somebody, pick what you would talk to them about, write their phone number down, you're done. That's it. No phone call. I would do that every day for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
After the 2 weeks, I would keep doing that. I would call one person, just one person. If they don't pick up, cool, one person. Do that for another couple of weeks. Now, after a month is gone, you're used to it, and you're kind of in this flow. Okay, now you're going to say, I'm going to get one person on the phone today.
There you go.
I'm going to do 2 calls, 3 calls, 4 calls until someone picks up. And you just build it really, really slowly. And what happens is your brain doesn't have time to register that as a threat. And you turn around in 3 months, 4 months, you're like, I'm making phone calls every single day. I don't even know how this happens. And then here's the fun part. Something flips in your brain. And so it used to be, it was uncomfortable for me to make phone calls. Now it is uncomfortable for you not to make the phone call. Something flips because your brain has to execute on a habit. It's
Yeah.
compelled to. So I think we got through all
We
7.
did it.
We
And
did it.
that's so powerful, man. That's so powerful. That rhymes with James Clear in Atomic Habits. I'm a big fan of his.
Yep.
And it's so true. And you know what's ironic? To all the overachievers out there, which tend to be most of our audience, they would hear what you're saying and they would say, what? Connect with one person
I'm
2
going to
months
make
down the road?
1,000
No, I'm
calls.
gonna get
Right.
that right. And then 6 months later, they're still doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And had they just done the star steps, then by 6 months they're crushing. And
That's
so
it.
even me, like it's the same for me. Like there's certain things. I mean, there's lots that I crush, and there's certain things I'm not so good at. And when I hear, okay, Eugene, and I'm versed. I'm a Jedi in this stuff, And I hear, okay, Eugene, just do this one little thing. Like, nah, come on. And then all of a sudden, it's 3 months and I haven't touched a
Right.
thing. None of us are immune to our own overconfidence, blind spots, what have you.
You touched on it. Overachievers, they have the biggest problem with this. They
Yep,
absolutely do,
yep,
because they're so used to
yep,
overachieving that they don't
yep,
have it in them to make something really small.
yeah, yeah.
Everything has to be 100
Let's
miles
start,
an hour. Like, let's
let's
go,
yeah,
let's go, let's go.
let's start reading. Okay, just read 1 page a day. What? No, I'm gonna read 10 pages a day. Okay, a week has gone by. How many pages
3
have you read?
books a week, right?
Yeah, 3 books a week.
How much did you read last week? Nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I got it. It's a coaster. It's a coaster. Greggy, so awesome for everybody out there. What's the immediate lever you can pull to be more consistent? Call Gregg and have him be your coach. This guy is awesome. We've never had somebody on back to back for a part 1 and part 2. So, Mr. Sugarman, you
I am
have a world
honored.
record for TLT Talks. Congratulations, sir.
I love it. Thank you. We got to start working on the
There
third
we
one.
go.
Maybe we'll have someone else on next month, but then,
Yeah,
I'll be back.
well, boomerang. We'll boomerang you back.
And I will see you in
Yes,
June, right?
sir. Yes,
Excellent.
sir.
I'm looking
Coming
forward
right
to
up.
that.
Greg, thank you so much. For everyone that wants to find Greg, find him on the gram. Hit me up. I'll connect you. He's truly a Jedi in this space. And Greg, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Always a
Sure,
blast.
brother.
Take care,
As well.
everybody.